Hey guys, welcome back. So I finally pulled the pin and got myself an XJR1300. This is the condition I picked it up in. I don't know if you can see the tyres that well. Check out the back tyre. They're a bit rough. The bike's been tidied up and looked after, but it's also been patched up in certain areas. I don't think it's been dropped, but it's been ridden hard and it's had a tough life. I struck up a deal. I picked this bike up from the Central Coast, so about an hour away from me, just over an hour and a half on the day. And this is the condition it was in, which isn't terrible, but I had to clean things up to sort of gauge whether I need a new chain and sprockets. They turned out to be fine. There's a bit of a suspect patch up job on the intakes, but other than that, this bike seemed like a deal that was too good to be true at the time. So this is a 2001 model. I was looking at all different types this is probably the oldest one I was looking at. I was looking at up to the end of the Carby models, and even like 2010 models. There was a couple of them for sale. I ended up choosing this one simply because it wasn't just the price, but I wanted a carbureted model. I wanted the old school retro vibe, and I wanted the twin exhaust. So the later models, they switched to a single. Not a big deal, but I just wanted what I wanted, and the price was too good to be true. So here it is, guys, and enjoy the video. I'll see you at the end. Hey guys, welcome back. This is the XJR1300. New to me. I believe it's a 2005 model. I'll check. I just bought it, you think I'd know. And if you've been following my channel, you'll know this is by far the biggest bike I've had on here. It's 1300 cc's, or if you want to be pedantic, it's 1250 cc's really, but what's 50 cc's amongst friends? Now, you've seen the condition of the bike. I'm going to be driving it very gingerly, riding it very gingerly indeed, because these tyres, as I told the guy who sold it to me, he said there's plenty of meat left on them, and I'm like, yeah, but the date on them's 2012. It's 2023. These tyres are terrible, and I really don't trust them. But once I got on it and rode it, it's quite a forgiving bike. So I'm just going to drive Miss Daisy back home. But my first impressions are, a lot of people talked about the weight. I really don't feel it. Like, it's a very well balanced machine. And because I wanted the original XJR 1300 with that kind of setup with the retro lights and the old school feel of the dials, like the analog fuel gauge, and I just felt that the later model bikes, although they're fuel injected and probably a much better bike all round, kind of lost that retro feel, and that's what I wanted from this bike. But I'm actually very excited. I mean, I had a little ride to come down to the beach from where I bought it, and I was pleasantly surprised. I'm still getting used to the power delivery, so I haven't even touched the power band in this bike because I'm not trusting those tyres. Everything's a little bit rattly. I would definitely say that I need to go over this front to back and just, you know, Loctite a few things and tighten things up. Apart from the new tyres, if I'm getting new tyres, I may as well get a new chain and sprocket. I bought it off a guy, like old school biker, that kind of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, just keep riding it until it does break. And I'm like, nah, let's have a safe bike, you know, something with this amount of torque. I think it's 98 horsepower or near enough 100 horsepower, but it's got buckets of torque. Like, I don't even know what gear I'm in. I think the later model ones might have a gear indicator. I'm not sure about that. I have to get on one and have a look. But like I said, there's two reasons I'm riding gingerly. It's because today is a public holiday and La Policia will be out in force with double demerits to make their quotas. So I'm not going to speed anyway, but these tyres are kind of making sure of that. I do feel a sketchiness, and it might just be that I haven't ridden this type of bike before, and I thought I'd be, you know, a bit more intimidated than I have been, but she's quite forgiving on the throttle. You know, you can maintain a speed quite easily. The throttle, I don't know if it's a Yamaha thing, but my V-Star's the same. You can maintain a speed quite easily. I feel they have a smooth throttle, and this does. You've got to have you do have to have a good wrist. But, you know, it's not the kind of bike you'd want to have as your first bike. You've got to have a decent wrist, good throttle control. Because I have given it a little bit just to see on the straight, and we'll see when we get on the freeway. The power just comes on. Not crazy, but it, you know, you get that whoosh, you get that back in the seat kind of feel. Now, one thing I will say, this getting used to this riding style, I've not ridden a bike like this in a while. I think since I got my license, with this ergonomics, right? So you guys know what bikes I've had. I'm either cruisers or adventure bikes. So this old school kind of regular bike setup, with the feet a bit back, but you're still in the upright riding position, I've not done in a while. So it'll take me probably a trip home to get properly used to it, but we'll see what happens. So she's a bit of a bust, as you just saw there. I'm pretty sure I made a meal of that in the wrong gear, having a bit of an issue finding the gears. It's just about, like I said, getting used to where my feet want to sit. And they're having these handlebars. They're sort of unusual for me, the handlebars. So I am being very awkward. I am riding like a newbie, and that's cool. I've got nothing to prove. I feel like the seat wants to push you forward, so I wanted to sit a bit back. My natural instinct was to sit back, you know, like I'm on the V-Strom or on the cruiser, and the bike just didn't want that. The angle of the seat pushes you right up. You really got to be hugging the tank. That's where it wants you to be, and the feet just a little bit back. So I'm just getting used to that, so bear with me. But yeah, getting used to the handlebars, you know, they're not super unusual. They're just a little bit narrow for me. So I'm used to the wider bars on the V-Strom. It's all I've been riding for a little while, and my V-Star's got the the wide ape hangers, so it's a very different riding style, and it's kind of a riding style I've avoided, but I can really feel the engine, I can really feel the vibration, the engine, and that's a good thing, because it's a raw bike. It's a naked retro bike. It's kind of what 70s and 80s, late 70s, early 80s are all about. That's why I love it. It takes me back to my childhood, seeing my Uncle Eddie on his Suzuki. Would it look like a bike like this, but it probably had a quarter of the power and quarter of the displacement. I love the sound when it opens up. Out of stock exhaust, not super loud, but you get that whine. You get that nice whine. We'll open it up on the freeway a bit. I just feel like I've gone back in time on this bike, and that's the beauty of it. I feel like a big kid on this thing. I really don't feel the weight, and like I said, I'm riding it pretty gingerly because these tyres have been flogged. Like I tell you, he didn't inspire confidence. I said to the guy when I bought it, is it going to be good to ride an hour and a half back? And he said, yeah, there's nothing wrong, you just need to balance the tyres. And when I got there, first thing I did, I checked the date on the tyres, which is an important thing to learn, guys. Learn how to check the age of the tyres. And it was they're 2012, and they've been flogged. Whoever rode it before this guy, unless this guy could absolutely ride the arse off it, whoever had it before rode the pants off this bike. He's a really good rider. There's no chicken strips on this thing. And it's, like I said, and he said he'd ridden over some screws, so these tyres are full of plugs as well. So I'm going to be going home on the freeway 110 with 11-year-old tyres that are full of plugs. So pray for me, guys. Let's hope the bike gods are with me. I've been a good boy, but we'll just we'll plod along. You see, what I'm just realizing is I've just, at this speed, you really don't need to change down. You can drive this. I feel that you could ride this as aggressively as you want, but you don't have to. You can ride it like you're riding Miss Daisy, like a grandma, And the brakes are really good compared to whatever else I've ridden. So still getting used to the gearbox. It's not terrible, but it's not telling me what gear I'm in easily. But with the amount of torque this bike's got, I don't really care. I'll get used to that. At least you went a bit wide. Lovely riding around here. Just ride through Gosford, I think, and we'll pop back on the freeway. We'll be home in 20-30 minutes. I want to make sure that I don't speed today, especially on a bike I've just bought. And that's another thing I was worried about buying this, is if it's going to be an animal, is it going to get me in trouble? but it's quite a tame. It's quite easily tameable. Like I said, I don't feel nervous at all. I had more nerves in anticipation than I did actually riding the bike, and it's just about getting used to dipping it in. I feel like I'm not dipping it as much because it's in my head about the tyres, and they'll probably be fine, but you know, I've learnt my lesson the hard way with old tyres, and these are about as old as you get. It purrs along. I absolutely love the way it feels. As for bumps, I haven't been feeling them. It's actually very comfortable. Seat's very comfortable. You got to get used to it. You got to get used to, especially me. I like to stretch my legs out, so that must be fifth, and yeah, I kind of feel like at this speed I could be in fourth, give it a bit more, but it's like lazy revs, you know, it's kind of like a big block in a car. Not the fastest thing, but the torque takes it off the line, and that's what these muscle bikes are about, and that's kind of what I wanted them for, was just something you could have fun in. But now I don't know what gear I'm in, but it doesn't really matter. Oh, she wants to go, doesn't she? It has a bit of trouble going down. I don't know if it's just this or I need to adjust the levers. It does have a bit of trouble going down in the gears. And I'm trying to keep the lazy revs going. I just want to see what this torque will do. So I've heard a lot about it's a bit of a torque monster. I don't think this has as much torque as the fuel injected one. But it is what it is. Okay. And with the bike being as it is, not in the best condition as far as tyres and the running gear, like it needs a new chain. Carbies need a tune, but the paint's in fantastic condition, and because it's a coastal car, like a lot of this rusty surface rust will just buff right out. Just give it a nice wash, buff, wax. I can see what people talked about when they said the mirrors aren't much chop. They kind of spoil the look of the bike, so I can see what I can do with them. But at the moment I want to keep it as original as possible. And because it's a naked, and the way you're sitting pretty low compared to the other bikes. You feel like you're doing 100 miles an hour when you're not. It's just, and that's the point of it. That's the point of it. I wanted a bike that I could have fun with, but it's not going to be ridiculous, you know. It's not going to be a hoon machine that really wants to go fast. This is totally happy to just cruise around at this speed. It's not giving me any trouble. It's not saying, hey, you got to get on it. Whereas other bikes with the same type of displacement, they just, you know, they really don't want to be cruising around at legal speeds. But yeah, I'm absolutely loving it so far. It's different to what I expected, to be honest. But I'm getting used to it. And when I say different to what I'm expected, I'm used to upright or laid back. So I'm a little bit, this is just a tiny bit more of aggressive stance. But that's the beauty of it, isn't it? You got to try different things. You got to, you know, like I said, I'm not a sports bike guy. I'm not a clip-ons type of guy. Does nothing for me. I like the cruise and feel. But something about this bike was a mate of mine had one, and you know, he came over to my place, and as we were leaving, I checked out his bike, and I was absolutely stoked with the look of his bike. And he had the British Racing green one, but I actually liked this black more. And the more I looked at it, the more I fell in love with it. And so I could have spent another, you know, couple of grand, 2 or 3 grand more, and got the later model in the black. There was one for sale, but like I said, I wanted the retro look. I don't like the later model idiot lights, right? You can hardly see them, whereas these are the big old school type of retro ones. The whole point of the bike is to be retro, and I didn't want the digital dash. It did, you know, I love the analog fuel gauge. I just love the look of it. I wanted a retro bike, and this is it. I know it's got 4 carbs. I know I told all you guys that I wanted to go away from carbs and fuel injected, but this is not a commuter bike, and this is a purely a fun bike for me. I'm going to clean it up, polish it up, and pull it out on beautiful, gorgeous days like today. Today's an amazing day. I'm so stoked. It's been miserable weather pretty much all the way up to today. So the bike gods were with me about this, and I said, let's go and look at this bike, let's go and pick it up. And for the price, I wasn't gonna argue with the guy. He took a cash deal. I'm happy with it. Well and truly in my budget for, you know, this type of bike. And like I said to him, I said, mate, I could put this on, I could clean this up and put it for sale for 2 grand more than I'm paying from you, but its location too, he's in the middle of nowhere. Lovely part of the world. He's in the middle of nowhere in a low economic kind of area, low socioeconomic area. So it is what it is, mate. Go, if you can travel. I've got to travel like an hour and a bit to get home. If you can travel, you can get yourself a bargain. If you're willing to travel, you're willing to, you know, get outside your comfort zone a little bit. And that's how I've always got bargains. Like, people just don't want to travel. But in the States, you guys are next level. You'll go interstate, you'll travel like hours to get a bike. And I feel that in Sydney, everyone's a little bit, New South Wales anyway, everyone's a little bit precious. They don't want to go outside of their bubble. It's a very insular place, Sydney. And so they'd rather spend couple of thousand more to buy local, which is bizarre, but you get a bike to travel with, don't you? You get a bike to ride it. So yeah, I more fool them, whatever. Like, I enjoy the adventure of getting out and meeting new people, and the guy was lovely. He gave me the brace for the forks, the fork brace that he didn't put on, that he bought. It's a Yamaha part. I'm like, okay. And one thing I've noticed, everything's wobbling a bit, everything's a bit, how you go on, this cluster's moving a little bit, and which for a bike of this age, it's been ridden, and it's been ridden hard, but it purrs. I had a bit of trouble starting at the very first go, and I would dare say he's had that sitting for a while, and it is what it is, mate. You've got the choke there, so get used to the choke again. But listen to it. So nice. I can't wait to put some tyres on it and open it up a bit more. So I'm starting to get used to the riding position. It's funny because when I first got on it, first bought it and got on it, I was sitting in my sort of cruiser, kind of semi-cruiser adventure bike thing, and I was like, this is terrible, this is pushing me forward. And then I had a look at the seat and I said, no, it really wants you to sit up on the tank. And once you find that sweet spot, it's perfect. So I just had to kind of reassess and find the sweet spot, if you like. And it's, you know, it's just getting used to the style. It's just totally getting used to the style. Like, I on adventure bikes all the time, and then you got my cruiser. It's a very different bike. And that's the kind of guy I am. I just want to ride as many different things. I don't necessarily need to own everything, if you know what I mean. I don't have to buy and own anything, but I would like to go for a few bikes. Like I said, I've got mates that have been through 20 or 30 bikes plus in their life, which is understandable because I've been through a few myself. But this thing, I have a feeling that I'll have a sweet spot, a soft spot for this bike. Effortless riding, and I'm naked. I'm feeling the wind, but we're not on the freeway, so I'll give you a full. I'm not naked, the bike's naked, thanks very much. That'll be a very different video. You know, you can feel the wind, but because this bike's so heavy and low, and for me it's low, coming from adventure bikes, this bike's low. I don't mind this guy driving a bit gingerly in front because I'm riding gingerly myself. I'm riding like I'm riding a scooter. He's riding a bit gingerly. See, she doesn't like to go lower than sort of 1500 in that gear on this hill. So we're going up a mountain now, down a mountain, then up it. So the tyres are warm. Bike gods be with us. You really got to lean over a lot more on this bike. This is a nice road. I'll definitely come back here when the bike's sorted with new tyres. And she's effortlessly doing this. Like, just look at the revs. Nothing. We're going up a pretty steep hill. You probably can't tell with the camera. It's not ridiculously steep, but still going up and down hills. It's not the most nimble thing in the world on first impressions. You really got to hang your weight out, kind of like a sports bike in that respect. This is pretty steep hill. We've got not changing gears, just using the torque of the bike, and effortless. It's magic, absolutely magic. Like I said, like a big block car, lazy revs. It's almost like having an automatic. And the more the bike warms up, the better it's going. Do you know what I mean? And you probably don't get that with the fuel injected model. Probably just goes straight off the bat. But I'm so taken with this. We're going on the freeway. I am in fifth gear. I just did all that in fifth gear. And it's amazingly effortless how it did that. I'm so stoked with the performance, because when you see a bike and it's a bit tired, it was a bit tired looking, like mechanically, and I could tell that the guys were like, if it's near enough's good enough. He did say he looked after this bike pretty well with the oil changes every 10,000. I'm more of a 5,000 guy, every 5,000, but my V-Strom's currently at 8,000, so I'm just testing the longevity of that. And if you're using decent oils, you know, he's probably right. We probably overchange our oils, you know. I always use the best oil that I can. This has such a smooth throttle. For the age of this bike, I'm very impressed. I'm kind of forgetting how crappy these tyres are. So one thing straight off the bat, because I've been in lazy revs the whole time, now I feel like I want a 6th gear because I'm in 5th gear, but it's really not revving that hard. Do you know what I mean? But you feel like you are revving it, and you want to, because you're so used to the lazy rev. So that's how it's probably catching people out. They're so used to going around at 2,000 RPM. When you get up to 4, they go, oh, I want a 6th gear. And I guess you get better fuel consumption, but it is what it is with 5. I think it's the simplicity of it. And although people do touring with these bikes, for me that's not what it's about. I just want a fun weekender. If I wanted a touring bike, I'd get the XJR, which is, ironically, that's what the guy I bought this off, that's what he went to, the XJR. And I said, look, I was looking at that, but I wanted something, my lifestyle had changed and I wasn't doing huge commutes. I wasn't doing tours, I wasn't doing long distances. I just want to do some nice day trips, and I just want to get out with a fun bike. So that's the reason I picked this. And she's fun. She is fun. I'm having a ball. We're going easy because I did say the tyres weren't the best. So, but I'm feeling comfortable. She's feeling very stable on the freeway, very stable. For a naked bike, I've heard people complain about naked bikes, and I guess it depends where you live, but this is a beautiful day. You can see there's no wind going on this bridge. I can feel a little bit of crosswind, a little bit, which always hits you on this bridge, but nothing more than my V-Strom, and that's, I rate that. That's pretty good. It's pretty aerodynamical. This thing's naked. It's doing well, and I think that's because all its weight's down low. It's got a nice centre of gravity. I really feel comfortable on the bike now. I really feel like there can be a bit of adjustment with the handlebars. I'll play with them, but out of the box, the guy that I towered over the guy I bought it off, so he probably had it set up for him. But and to be honest, I'm 6 foot tall, and I feel okay with it, but I'm used to very comfortable bikes. So for long trips, would I pick this? No, I don't think I would. And when I say long trips, that's like anything over 5 or 6 hours, right? But you know, that depends on your definition of long trips. But for rides out like this, a couple of hours out, a couple of hours back, day trips, 100% you'd be comfortable enough on this bike at 6 foot tall. And I'm roughly about 97 kilos. So I feel that the weight of this bike's not an issue for me. Once you get to speed, it's very easy to ride, very comfortable. Like I said, this is by far the biggest bike I've had, the biggest displacement, and the most horsepower that I've owned. But I don't know about power to weight ratio, but I just feel that if I wanted to open this up a bit more, we'd easily be in lose your license territory, you know what I'm saying? If I just twisted the throttle just a little bit and I wasn't in a convoy, we'd easily be sayonara to your license. Look at these guys cruising away. I do love cruises, I won't lie, but this is such a different experience. So much fun. You kind of feel where you sit in the bike, you kind of do feel one with the bike more than, say, the adventure bikes, for me anyway. I kind of do feel like I'm part of the bike, and you know, once I get used to the mass, and once I feel comfortable with new set of tyres, and the bike's been gone over a bit and tightened everything up, all those gremlins in my head will, you know, disappear a little bit, and I feel like I'll enjoy it more. But I'm having a ball. This thing's just chewing the freeway up. 5th gear, no problem. So smooth, great brakes, great front brakes, back brakes are so-so. But it might just be this particular bike, I can't speak for all bikes. Now getting up around 110 plus in the open air, yeah, I'm feeling a bit of buffered in now, if I'm honest. But to be honest, on this road, any bike that you ride, you're going to get buffeted around. It's a pretty windy area, this part. Unless you've got a big bat wing like that bloke, a big cow. But you know what, for me that kind of defeats the purpose, you know. I wanted a naked bike. I love feeling like I'm doing 100 miles an hour, you know what I mean? I like that pressure of the air on your chest. I kind of lost that a bit riding the V-Strom for a while with the touring screen, because that touring screen's so good. It just deflects a lot of the wind. Somebody who's in a hurry. Starting to relax into this bike a bit more. Beautiful. And the wind does hit you straight in the chest. So you kind of have to hold on a little bit. Like, it works the arms a little bit, and you know, I don't feel 100% confident in the handlebars. The weight of this bike, they seem very flimsy, but it is very retro. That's the style of the older bikes. I love a nice solid handlebars. But the things you could do with this bike and clean it up, I just want to get it home, give it a nice clean, organise some tyres for it. Maybe see what chain it takes. I might have a nice chain to go on, just organise the sprockets. She is a beauty. Just purrs along. I do love the sound of carbureted engines. You can't beat that sound, man. Like fuel injection, it's fuel efficient, more power, more throttle response. You know, and with the right throttle bodies, they sound fantastic. But something about carbies just open up, and you just love that sucking sound. I think with a decent set of pipes, I think I would get another set of twin pipes. Even the ones, you know what I'm thinking, is get a set of 4x4s, you know, so it's kind of, that's another issue I wanted the older bike, because I wanted pipes on either side. I wanted that retro look. The model, the generation after this one, they went to one side, and I guess that's to save weight or whatever it is, the catalytic converter, who knows. But yeah, I love pipes out either side, and I've seen a few videos, I've done my research. I've just got to see if I can get it in Australia, that, you know, that twin muffler either side, so you get 4x4. What a sound that'll be. It really is quite placid until you open it up. Like it's very quiet bike actually, and I can see why people do long trips on it. And this is not crazy kilometres on this bike. It's 55,000, nearly 60, nearly 56, but which for the bike of this age is pretty good, mate. Like, a lot of them are up near the 100,000 mark. So that was a big drop off there. I felt it, but it's more I felt the drop off. I didn't really feel it in my back, which is great. The suspension, it's got Öhlins as standard. So once I check all the paperwork out on this bike, I'm pretty sure this is an SP bike. I don't think the guy knew what he had. He bought it from a mate of his that was a collector, and that guy had ridden the pants off this, and he had 20 plus bikes. So I get it, you can't ride 20 bikes now, no matter how good you are. Some of them sit and don't do anything. I usually have 2 or 3 bikes in rotation, and I still find it difficult to ride them all every week, and I'm riding every day pretty much. But yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, I don't think the guy who bought it off really knew that much about them. When I do start looking at a bike, I start getting obsessed with it, start doing all the research I can for it, looking at all the videos, looking at all the forums, the websites, find out, particularly I try and find out all the issues there are with the bike, and whether, you know, all bikes have issues and all forums are going to say the downside of the bike, but whether I feel it's livable, the downside.
I was going to go down the route of a muscle cruiser. I was going to wait off a little bit with my Harley until I was in a bit of a better position, because I don't want an expensive bike like not getting used, and you know, it just wasn't right for me where I am in my lifestyle at the moment to make that kind of investment on a brand new Harley to not be able to use it. So I wanted something fun, and I thought about, why don't I just get a muscle cruiser? I love cruisers. But this was always in the back of my mind. The XJR was always in the back of my mind ever since I saw my mate's bike. And this one popped up, found it on Marketplace, and the price was too good to be true, but it needs work. It's not polished. There's better ones out there, but you get what you pay for. And I just wanted the guts of the bike. I wanted the paint to be nice. And this bike's fantastic. Couple of scratches. Hopefully they'll just buff out, or I can get someone who's good at touching up, because I want to keep this as original as possible. There was another one local to me that the guy had spent a lot of money on it, and it was much more expensive than this. So I really looked at that bike, like he'd done every mod you could do to the bike, spent thousands. It looked fantastic from a distance, until I realised he had skulls airbrushed into the tank and to the mudguard, and I was like, no, I couldn't handle that. It's a travesty to me, an absolute travesty. I'm like, you've ruined the bike. It's not that type of bike, dude. You know what I mean? Like, you've made it for you. No one's going to buy it. Like, if someone buys it, they'll have to make cheap enough to repaint over all that crap. And I'm like, he would have spent a fair bit of money unless he does the airbrushing himself. But I was like, oh, you've ruined it, mate. And I was all like ready to go and get it, and I was so excited about it, and then I noticed that, and I said, I don't even want to entertain it. These retro bikes, leave them alone. Just leave them alone, tidy them up, put a little bit of bling on it, like maybe put period kind of suitable mirrors on that look a bit better than these ones. But they're beautiful bikes as is. And this one was as close to stock as I could get, and that's what I wanted. It's even got the Olin stickers on the back that are in mint condition. Like, I don't know the life of this bike, but I dare say it would have been sitting a long time. Someone rode the arse off of it and then put it in the shed with 20 other bikes, you know. So I'm stoked the path it took to get to me, because the guy had already bought his FJR, he was already happy, you know, the deal was done, so he wasn't desperate, and I offered him what I thought was a fair amount. I looked after him, gave him the folding stuff, the cash, had it on me, made the deal, and I think it was fair all round, considering what I've got to put into it, which I don't mind. You know what? Even if the tyres looked really good, the age of them, I would get new tyres.
So that just about wraps this video up, guys. The new to me 2001 XJR1300 SP. All the paperwork checked out. It is an SP model, and I'm absolutely wrapped with it. I want to thank you for watching till the end. I know it was a long video, but I didn't want to leave anything out. I wanted you to get the experience. I apologize for the wind noise. It will be better, and I'm going to post a lot more videos on this bike. I think I'm going to have a bit of fun with it. So if you haven't already yet, subscribe so you don't miss out, and ride safe. See you next time.